Welcome to Plato is Still Relevant, an annotated summary of Plato's Republic. Now, let's come on in here. Before we can understand the Republic, there are 3 points we need to understand. 1, the relationship between Socrates and Plato. 2, the notion of the ideal versus the sense world, or why Plato is considered an idealist. And 3, what is justice and Plato's conception of justice. So number 1, let's take a look here at old Socrates. There he is. Now that's a pretty version. This is a pretty Socrates. In real life, Socrates had a pug nose. He was kind of chubby. He walked with his feet outward, kind of slew-footed. Now, he was reputed to be a fierce warrior. He could hold off a battalion by himself. He could go longer without food and water than other people. But these could be legends. It could be real. But Socrates, ironically, and there's a lot of Socratic irony throughout the text, the ugliest, poorest man in Greece, the foundation of Western civilization, turns out to be its most famous citizen. On to Socrates. Socrates lived 469 to 399 BC or BCE. And he never wrote anything. He lived in that axial period. Jesus never wrote, Muhammad never wrote, the Buddha never wrote. Plato did use the written word, but he was a little afraid of the new technology, although he was a master poet, a trained playwright. But Plato was Socrates' student. The city of Athens put Socrates on trial for impiety and corrupting youth. He was one of the youth, quote, corrupted. He was at the trial, and Plato was going to be a big-time politician, but instead he started a school in a valley called the Academios, which we get the word academy. Talk about still relevant. Plato's place of study is where we get the word academics. But Plato was Socrates' student, and interestingly enough, and for another video altogether, Aristotle was Plato's student for 22 years. So here's the relation. Now we don't know if Plato made up Socrates, if Socrates is real, how much did Plato put in Socrates' mouth. These things are fussed over amongst scholars. I'm going to take the text at face value. Socrates was the original teacher. Number 1. Number 2, the notion of the ideal versus the real. The theory versus practice. You ever plan something and you have this plan in your mind, but then when you put it into practice, it isn't quite what you wanted? The ideal is the theory. The practice seems to always fall short. Think of a cookie cutter. Here's your cookie cutter, the ideal human, gingerbread man. Here's your dough, and you make all these copies of people, men, women, in the sense world, but none of them is an actual copy of the ideal. Or look at it this way. I'm holding up 2 fingers. The fingers are in the sense world. You can see them, right? Question, where's 2? Have you ever gone to a party and met 2? 24? You ever met 68? Yet thermodynamics is explained with mathematical equations. Just about everything in physics and the laws of physics use mathematical equations, but they only exist in the mind. Plato was about the ideal world. Think about Jack Kevorkian. Jack Kevorkian, you have your dog is sick, it's old, it's arthritic. You put it to sleep, and it's the best thing you can do. For a human, we don't do that. Yet someone is sick, miserable, wants to die. Jack Kevorkian thought it good, ideal, to gently and with dignity put these people to sleep. But the laws of the sense world said no. And Kevorkian spent 7 years in prison for doing what he thought best. What is this ideal that we all carry it? What is it? What is it? I mean, we can judge a law. Okay? In this country, free speech is a right. And when we talk rights, we're talking the sense world. I have a right to free speech. But then I can turn around and say, I think we should have free speech. It's a good law. What is that part of myself that allows me, that seems to be above the law, that can judge the laws in our sense world? And that leads to this third point. What is justice? When Socrates is hunting for justice, Socrates is hunting for the ideal justice, the cookie cutter justice, the justice that I say, yeah, that's it. That justice we can't quite put into words. And this was Plato's fear of the new technology. We can't quite get into words this ideal. So ends segment 1. Thank you for joining. Plato is still relevant. Please subscribe or like, and join me for the next segment when we will look at the first 3 notions of justice presented to Socrates. Thank you very much.